Hey guys, today we are going to be doing a video or I am going to be doing a video rather, for the snowball tambourine. And really this can go for any snowball painted item. We're going to start out. You should have all of your supplies in front of you. So your tambourine that's pre-sketched, the 3 brushes that you received, a flat, a round, and a fine line brush, and all of your paint colors. So you have that the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, blue, varnish, black and white, your glitter, and that creamy vanilla color. We're going to start by filling in our white sections. So that's going to be the cup, spoon, and straw. So go ahead and dip your flat brush into that, or if you prefer to use your round brush, by all means, use whatever brush you really feel most comfortable with. And just go around anything that is gonna have color. So like the little drips right here that are on your cup, we'll just go around those carefully. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So it's going to take a few minutes to get that all filled in. And if you need to turn your tambourine to get better access to area, then go ahead and do that. It doesn't have to stay in one spot. All right. And if you go over, like I just went over right here, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. There's going to be some red right there, so, or whatever color you decide to make your snowball. If you feel like you want to switch brushes to the round one instead of this flat one, because we're in a kind of a tight little spot, you can do that, or you can just work it out with your flat brush. I like to push the edge into the line or into the corners and utilize the shape of that brush to make a nice line. Make it nice and clean. We want to make sure we define that edge, because that's going to be like the little lip edge of the cup. So we want to make sure that you can see that. Right, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and switch brushes and use that round one, this one, for the spoon. You know, these are some small, tight areas, but just take your time. And you'll be good to go. And we are going to be revisiting these white areas, so if you don't feel like it has enough coverage, don't worry about that. we're gonna come back. There's the spoon. Now we're gonna do that straw. And like I said, utilize the shape of that brush. It'll give you a nice sharp line. So just kind of push the paint into the edges. And then push down and pull. You can get a nice sharp edge there. All right, I'm satisfied with that for right now. Okay, next I'm going to decide what color I want my snowball to be. If you want to do a rainbow snowball, you can kind of like test in your mixing area. You're going to do yellow, red, and then blue, so you get all of the colors. So start with the yellow. We're going to rinse that brush out. Red, kind of mix them in between so you'll get yellow, orange, red. We can add a little bit more yellow so we can get that orange color. You can kind of see where we're going. So we got that bright yellow, then we have orange, and then we're going to do the blue on the other side. And we're going to mix that blue into the red, and we'll get our like purpley color. Trying to keep it. Well, that's going to give me like a general idea of what is going to be going on if you decide to do the rainbow. And if you want to do any other colors besides the red, yellow, or blue, we can get an orange by mixing a small amount of the red with probably 3 times the amount of yellow. And then you'll get a pretty orange color, and you can kind of keep adding color or taking away color. Well, you're really just going to be adding color to make it the desired shade. So that's going to be like kind of a peachy orange. And then if you want to do a green one, you're going to take some of the blue and add some yellow. And that'll give you a green. And again, you can kind of just add more of each of those colors to either make it darker with some blue or make it a little bit lighter with some yellow. And if you want to do a purple, then that's going to be the red with the blue. And that'll give you a purple color. So with these 3 primary colors, we can make pretty much any color. So there you go. Starting you out with the basics. You have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So the whole rainbow, or you can do a traditional like snowball rainbow, which is yellow, red, blue. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a traditional snowball rainbow. So we'll start with the yellow. And I'm just going to use that round brush again. I'm going to get the little drip over here on the side. That solid yellow. And then we have another little kind of drip down. And we're going to go about a third. Figure out what about a third is. So I'm going to say about 2 where the straw is going to be a third. And you'll notice that there is an area at the top that is kind of, it looks like some kind of cream, or in this instance it's condensed milk. So that's what that vanilla color is going to be, the condensed milk. And we're just going to leave that plain for right now. So we're going to fill in our yellow, and we're probably going to want to do more than one coat, so we can kind of do that in, let it dry a little bit, and go to another section. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the far section with the blue, and I'm going to fill in our little drip again. And a third of the way, it's probably going to be just about right here. And it's not like, doesn't have to be precise. We want that to dry also, and we can go ahead and go into the center section with the red, and we're just going to kind of keep everything separate for right now, and then we'll try and do a little blending to get those secondary colors in to really make it look like a rainbow. I'm going to get our little drips again. If you feel like you need to use the smaller brush for those little drips, go ahead. And then while we're waiting for those 2 areas to dry, we'll go ahead and do the little like overflow sections. So that's going to be yellow. Probably do this one yellow, kind of going into that red a little bit. The yellow and 2 colors that are really like the most translucent are yellow and orange. And if you feel like you're not getting the coverage that you would like with your yellow, you can always add a little bit of white, and that'll give it a little more opaque coverage, and then it'll also make it easier to go back over and get a good second coat. Okay, I'm going to add like the small, actually I'm going to go ahead and use the orange that we made to just kind of make things easier, help blend a little bit better. I'm going to just put some of that orange down to make it look like some of that red spilled over into the yellow. You can just kind of press that in, just give it a little tap, let it blend into the other one. Come back with some more yellow, just again kind of press it in so they blend together really nicely. You might have to keep going back and forth a little bit until you have it the way that you want it. I want a little bit more red towards the center. Just kind of tapping it in there. And maybe a little bit more orange, and then I think I'll be satisfied with that for right now. You can always come back and add a little bit more once it's a little more dried. All right, I think I'm satisfied with that. I'll go ahead and do the other side with some blue. If you're having trouble deciding what color to do your snowball, I say just pick whatever color is your favorite. My favorite is Satsuma with condensed milk. My son's favorite is the Sno-ball with condensed milk. That is his go-to every single time. I'm going to add a little bit of that purple that we made because that red and blue make the purple. And it's going to be a little muddy, or feel like it's a little muddy, but that's kind of what it does when it all mixes together in your snowball. It's not like the most beautiful color. I'm going to add a little bit of that red in the inside corner. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. I am satisfied with that. And I'm going to go ahead and go back over that yellow and the blue and the red in the center so we can get a nice solid color happening. So we can see through a lot, and I don't like being able to having so many holes. I'm kind of pressing the paint into the canvas. We don't mind having a little bit of texture because, I mean, it is shaved ice, so it's going to have some texture. I'm going to go ahead and hit up the red. And then I'm going to go in between that red and yellow with some of that orange that we made. Might need to make a little bit more of that orange, but let's see how we do for right now. Just kind of go in between, just going to tap on each side of that sort of third line, 1/3 area. This is going to require a lot of rinsing your brush out so we can get a nice clean blend. I feel really good about what's happening right now. So I'm not going to mess with it too much, but I do need a little bit more red right there. So, and we can always come back, and if you feel like you need to make it more of a solid color, you can always come back. Work a little bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit more orange. I like it. All right, and then we're gonna do the blue and then bring in some of that purple. And again, I'm kind of pushing the paint in, like kind of tapping a little bit, working that paint in. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush out again, pick up that purple and work the purple in between the red and blue. And each time I touch a color, like the purple to the red, once I feel satisfied with that, I'm gonna rinse it out and pick up the blue and just work with the purple and the blue together so that I get a good clean blend. All right. Ooh, I like what's happening right now. It's looking really great. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of leave that alone for right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and adjust my seat, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the condensed milk at the top. And I'm gonna use my fine line brush because there's a lot of like little areas and I don't want to mess around with messing up anything that I kind of already have going on. And you're going to want to have a good amount of paint on your brush for this color because we really want to get that on nice and thick and make it really look like condensed milk. This is looking really good. It's making me want a snowball right now. I know it's kind of looking a little bit flat right now with just like your blocks of color, but we are going to come back and put in a lot of detail and then some pretty iridescent glitter on the top to kind of really make it show off, because like, isn't everything better with a little bit of glitter? Most things are better with a little bit of glitter. All right, That looks delicious. All right, while we're waiting for that little area to dry up, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of reinforce my white areas while our color areas are drying. This really looks good. Not gonna lie, I'm loving how this is turning out. Whenever you do a painting, it really is all about building up layers. Layers of paint, layers of color, texture. And adding little details that really make a difference. Alright, our straw and our spoon look great. I think I'm going to go ahead and go back to my flat brush and fill in our cup. Carefully fill in our cup. And remember, when you're using a brush, it's not just as straightforward as, oh, this is flat, I can only use it one way. You can always turn it to the side. There's more than one way to use a brush, so you know, you can turn it to the side, you're gonna get a finer line. You can just kind of manipulate it the way that you need it to work. It's not always just as straightforward as, oh, this is a flat brush, it can only do one thing. You gotta make the tools work for you. Like, the shape is meant to, you know, give you a nice clean line. So we want to use that. And use the shape of it to fit into those little edges and make that nice clean line. And you want to hold it like you hold a pencil. And if you do a little bit too much, like I feel like I kind of lost my drip a little bit right there, don't worry about it. We can go back and rediscover it. I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and we'll go ahead and touch up some edges. So I will like touch up our little drips. I'm using my small brush and getting a good amount of paint on that brush so that I can move it nice and effortlessly. The more paint you have, the more you'll be able to kind of manipulate it the way that you want to. By adding pressure or being really light with your touch. There we go. Oops, I got some white in there. Get rid of it. So right now we're just really kind of cleaning up our edges and making sure we got enough coverage. So we can start getting those details in. So you can kind of see I'm kind of just like rubbing the paint into the canvas with my brush. Just kind of like press down and just like give it a little wiggle. And it helps it blend a little bit where you need it to, and just kind of softly puts a little bit more paint onto your canvas. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make a little bit more orange because my orange is dried up. I have my fan on, so all my paint is drying very quickly today. Now we're going to build up that orange a little bit more, really make it pop. I'm going to take a little bit more of that yellow and kind of work that little edge in together, and then we're going to do the same with the red, and then with the blue and the purple, and red and purple also. I'm just going to get a small amount of the red just so that we can kind of very quickly just kind of push them together. Alright, I'm feeling good about that. Maybe add a little bit more orange. Ooh, kind of went on down the wrong road right there, but we can fix it. Got a little bit too much water on my brush. I didn't really dry it off enough, so now we got a situation happening right now. But let's see. We'll make it work. I think that's okay. We'll just make it's fine. Your painting is not always going to turn out the way that you want it to turn out sometimes, but sometimes it's kind of nice if it doesn't, and it kind of goes in a little bit different direction. Alright, I got some more of that purple. I'm going to put that in the center of the red and the blue. I'm going to go ahead and do some on the bottom too while I have it on my brush. And then take a little bit of red and just work those two together. I'm going to swirl them together a little bit. I'm good with that. And then let the blue and the purple swirl together a little bit, just so that it's a nice blend rather than like a harsh line. I mean, and obviously if you decide to just go with a single color, we're not going to be doing all of this blending together. You're just going to do it solid across the whole section. And then you can always do it a little bit lighter in some areas by adding white to your chosen color, or deepen it up a little bit by adding the smallest amount of the black to your chosen color, and just kind of create more depth across it. But for the snowball rainbow, this is what we're doing, and I'm feeling really good about it. It looks super cute. Okay, I'm gonna fill in my little puddles on the bottom really quick. Just a little bit more. I want a little bit more solid situation happening down here. Tiny bit of that red. A little bit more of the yellow. I just want it to have a nice gradient kind of effect happening. And if you feel like you went too far into your cup, then no big deal. Just bring a little bit of white down and fix that. There. And then back to the other side. I want a little bit more pop of red down here too. I like that. All right, rinse out my brush again, and just make sure I got my blue nice and covered. I feel satisfied with my coverage. Clean up some edges. I can see a little bit of a pencil mark right here, so I'm gonna kind of clean up that edge a little bit. Which pencil marks really are not a bad thing. A lot of Renaissance painters used to draw with pencil before they went ahead and attacked the canvas with paint, and you can still see some pencil marks in some really famous pieces of artwork. So I always say that I'm not too worried about seeing a pencil mark. It's part of the process, so embrace it. All right, I'm feeling really good about our snowball right now. Loving the colors. It looks super vibrant and fun. And now we are going to start doing some detail work. So we need kind of an in-between of that white. So we're going to go ahead and mix a very light gray. So I have a little bit of, I don't want more white than that. There. A good little dollop of white. Rinse your brush out. Dry it off. And then a small, very small amount of, here, where's my camera? There it is. Very small amount of black. And then that's going to give us a good light gray. We don't want it to be too aggressive. We want to just like very subtly kind of start to add depth to our, let me hold this with one hand, to our stuff. So like I want to give a little bit of a, where the scoop is of the spoon, like the indentation part, we want to really like start to show off some of those details. I'm going to go ahead and just use that small brush. So we want to bring some of that gray in to the center part and just really make it look like there's really some different planes and some different depth fields. So like I want to take some of that gray up the spoon handle in like the center area. But like I feel like it's not looking quite the way that I want to, so I'm going to go ahead and bring back some of that white and just make that line across the top. There we go. And then work it back up a little bit with some more gray until it's the way that I feel like I want it to be, till it looks more spoony to me. And I feel like I lost some of this edge, so I'm going to come back over with some more white and find that edge again. So that's what we're going to do with the spoon right now. And we're also going to take that gray and kind of go under some of these edges. So like under where the snowball is kind of melting over the edge of the cup, because that's going to kind of create a shadow on the cup. And then like this edge right here, we want to go ahead and bring that gray across there too. And you can just kind of brush it down and like kind of blend it out. Just want it to look real subtle. We're just trying to create some depth right now. So you're going to put that line across there and then just go ahead and kind of blend it out a little bit. Just kind of pull it away from the edge. If you feel like you're not really seeing it enough, like I feel like maybe my gray is just too light, you can add a little bit more black, just a little bit. So like a small amount at a time. We don't want to like overdo it. There we go. There, I feel like that's gonna show up a little bit more. And you can always kind of come back with more white if you feel like you've gone just a little too far. like to pull the gray down the edge a little bit. And then also, so you pick one edge of your straw. I'm going to pick the inside edge because I feel like the light is coming from this direction. So your highlight and your brightest colors are going to be here, and your more dark colors are going to be on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little stripe. I feel like that's a little bit dark, so I'm going to lighten it up a little. Stripe of the gray on the inside, and I'm going to rinse that off, and then kind of blend it out a little bit because I feel like the gray is a little bit too aggressive. So I'm just going to take and blend that out a smidge by bringing some more white in. I like how that's looking. And you'll notice if you flip over your tambourine, you can see right here where it's like a little bit of an opening. That's the opening of the straw. We're going to bring that back right now by adding gray, like a darker gray, into the little edge area. So we're just going to load up our brush and just drag that up. So it looks like there's a little opening. Oops, I got some water on there. We still want to be able to see the smallest amount of white on the edge though. So let there be like the smallest amount of white on the edge, and I can bring it up so you can see. There you go. It looks really good. So we'll have a kind of look close up of everything, what's happening with our spoon, our drips, our little shadow under the edge, everything. It's looking really good. And we want to bring those shadows like under the drips on both sides, so that we're bringing in all those little details that are going to make the difference when we're finished with our project. Look, and I feel like I messed that one up a little bit, but that's all right. I'm just going to come back and clean up the edge by adding a little bit more white. I mean, not white, but bring more of that red back so we can clean it up. Go. And I'm going to do a little bit of gray on this side of the little spillage. Bring it up. And I'm just going to use a clean brush with what I just put down there and just kind of rub it out. Blend it out a little bit. Just making it really subtle. Take a little bit more gray and just kind of define the edge of the cup. And I'm going to deepen that gray up a little bit because we're going to come back and do some of that layering I was talking about. Alright, this is feeling really dark, but that's alright. We're just going to use it really sparingly. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to this darker gray. Just kind of spin that brush out a little bit, but still have a good amount of paint on it. And we're just going to do some detail. So like a little, the smallest like little dash on that straw, just to add another layer of depth. And I'm going to do the same thing with the edge, just like a little wisp. And then we're going to add also those little bends in the straw and just kind of flick from the little corner there and out. All right. I'm going to add a little bit more detail to that spoon. All right, I feel like that was a little bit too much, so I'm rinsing out my brush and then I'm coming back and just kind of blending that out a little bit with a clean brush. I'm just kind of pulling that color out. There, I feel good about that. And I'm just going to go ahead and just do a little bit of that edge and a little bit in the spoon area where maybe there's like a little divot right here, and then pulling that color up. Again, I'm going to rinse my brush out and then kind of blend it out a little bit with a clean brush. And if you feel like you kind of lost a little bit of that sharp white edge, you can always come back and bring it back in. I'm just going to put a little bit of detail work on the edge here, like maybe a little swipe of that gray on the edge of that spoon. And then we're going to also take that gray and go underneath that spoon where it's coming, like being shoved into your snowball. And also the same thing with the straw. I felt like I was a little aggressive with that, so I'm just gonna wipe some of that off, put a little water on it and wipe it off. If you feel like you made a mistake, the great thing about paint is when it's dry, you can easily adjust things by painting over it or just wiping it off. All right, try that again. Just a very fine line there. That's better. Okay. We are almost finished with our fabulous little snowball. Now we're just going to add some cool, fun detail. And I'm going to take some of that black and kind of thin it out. Thin it out a little bit with some water so our brush will glide really nicely on the on our canvas. And we're just going to start to define some edges and toss in some little like ziggy zaggies and like lines just to create some interest in our snowball painting. So I got some water on there. Take that off. Let's go ahead and just start on the cup area. So I like to put a little like fun little lines, maybe a couple dashes and like a little swipe underneath and like maybe another one over here, or we can do like a little zigzag action where you kind of come out and just kind of zigzag and then pull it down, and maybe a little swipe in the center, and just be really kind of free with it. Don't overthink it, just kind of make it happen. And if you are nervous about it or feel like you went too far, you can always go back and paint over it. We'll add a little bit more water to the black. We want it to just be really thin. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit some of this under, like just a little bit. And like where that gray is, just kind of go over it a little bit, put a little fine line there, and another fine line where you did the underneath the spoon. And if it's not perfect, I mean, don't worry about it. It's totally okay. A little line on the straw, maybe some more detail right here, like it's really making it everything more defined. I feel like I did a little too much there. I'm going to snip it off and then start again. And again, if you feel like you went too far, rinse your brush out and then go back over it with maybe, like, I feel like I need to go back over it with a little bit of white. I mean, I don't know that I really made a huge difference in that, but I don't know, I feel better about it. A couple little swipes on your spoon, maybe like hit the edge of it. Try that again. I'm gonna just blend that out and just kind of redo it. I don't really like what happened right there. All right. There, that's better. Make a little swipe at the top. And now I'm going to do like some little ziggy-zaggies in the Sno-ball. So you'll be able to see like underneath where, there we go. There's some little zigzags and like squiggles. Just kind of defining the, like the shape and texture of the ice. So we're just going to add a few of those in. And it can just be like really random. Even like a little swipe is fine. And we want it both in the, like up there in the condensed milk. But then also maybe a few in the actual Sno-ball area. And maybe like hit the edge with some defining lines. Just kind of like wherever you're feeling there. Let's go ahead and get some shadow action over here. Maybe down the side of the cup. A little more defining edge. There. And maybe underneath, give it a little edge to sit on with maybe a little darker gray. And now we're going to go back and hit it with some highlights. So we're going to hit it with some of that white to create some more like highlights, like little glistening. So where we did the black little swirls above that line, we're going to just like hit it with some white too. So we got the highlight and the low light kind of in the same area. And then we're going to do the same in this area where we got the little, and then on our little drips, we're going to do a little highlight on the edge, just a little swipe. And then a little, kind of some little spots here and there in your little twinkles of where like the white or the light is hitting it. So now this is a time if you feel like you need to brighten up your cup a little bit. Like I feel like we lost some of the brightness right here. So I'm just going to come back with a little bit of that white just to define that edge again. And bring some white brightness back into our cup. If you don't like some of the lines that you made, shoop, now it's not there. Alright, really liking this, it's very cute. I'm going to let this kind of dry a little bit and show you what we're going to do with that glitter. So we'll just move this out of the way slightly. So with the glitter, I have some, this is the clear coat, that milky color. I'm going to put some of that into our empty cup over here. There, right there. So just a decent amount. And then I'm going to go ahead and just like get right into that glitter and scoop some of that glitter up. And mix it together. So now we have a glittery paint. Cool. Put as much or as little as you want in there. I'm just going to really go for it. Just get it all in there. And I like having some of those big chunks in there too. It makes it kind of fun. It gives it a little bit more texture. All right, I'm going to rinse out my brush. I'm going to go ahead and use the small brush because we want to kind of work it into some of the little nooks and crannies. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the area where it's supposed to be the condensed milk. And I'm just going to kind of scoop it onto the brush and just work it in. Just kind of scoop it up and just like press it down into the edges. It's going to kind of be translucent, so don't worry about going over some of the other colors. And this doesn't have to be just in the condensed milk area. I mean, if you want to do it all over your snowball, go for it. That'd be super fun. Alright. See, I like some of those big chunks. They're really fun. Really are impactful. I'm just going to pop a couple more of those. I like them around the edge. Let's see. It looks delicious. I'm going to go ahead and take some of those sparkles and just kind of like put them on a little, like, part of where the highlights are on the drips. I think that's a fun spot. Give it a little sparkle. Oh, that's really fun. All right. I mean, we're pretty much finished. So you guys did a great job, I'm sure. Every single one of you did an awesome job. If you feel like you want to go back and put in a few more little detail strokes, then like I feel like I could use a little more dark underneath that little edge. And just wait for it to dry, and then once it's completely dry, you're going to take your flat brush, go into that milky sealer again, and then go over the entire piece, everything with the sealer, and you just kind of want to just go right over the edge of where you painted. Don't go over the whole thing, just where you painted, so we can seal that edge. But let it dry. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of an example of what's going to happen when it's dry. It's probably going to take a good like 20-30 minutes to dry, depending upon how thick some of your paint is. But I think this turned out fantastic, and yeah, that sealer, there we go, is really gonna make the color pop, whatever color you chose. And I am loving the snowball. It's so much fun, and it was super easy. Even doing the blending and kind of a little bit of snuck in some color theory there. So I hope you had a good time, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Alright, as usual, I am back because I realized I forgot to show you what to do with those ribbons that I gave you. Well, your snowball should have, or your tambourine rather, should have a hole on the side right there. And we're going to take those ribbons that I gave you. There should be 4 ribbons. Most of you have what, yellow, red, blue, and white. Well, I ran out of that color combination, so I have pink, orange, yellow, and green. And you're going to want to just stack those up. Stack them up. You're going to push your stack through the hole, and you're going to come back. You're going to have a loop right there. You're going to pull the rest of those ribbons through the loop. Tighten it up by pulling on your ribbons. And there you go. There you have it. Fabulous. Now you can play it, hang it, put it on a shelf, do whatever you want. Alright, see you next time. Bye.